Hello, hello, hello. So today we're going to start today's episode with a joke. Okay, wait for it. Where do police officers usually meet? Who paused to think through the answer? Let's be Avenue. And then to follow up that joke with a further joke, if we call these jokes, is what's the best thing about Switzerland? So many things. Oh, I'm not really sure, but the flag is a big plus. Yes, this is just me laughing at myself. But thank you very much for joining us today here on the Positivity Podcast. Today we're going to be making some book recommendations. So hopefully we've got some book connoisseurs in the audience. Maybe you can make some recommendations back. I will admit, I enjoyed reading as a child. I took a bit of a break in my mid-adulthood, and now I am back into, trying to find the next latest escape, or sometimes not escape, sometimes it's learning, sometimes it's just unwinding. Books can take you to different places, and I'm all here for them. So the first recommendation on the list is a book called The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. And I've recommended this book to a few friends and family members. And the way I'll describe it is it's like a warm hug. I will give you a bit of a warning. I actually had to read this twice. In that the first time I opened it up and I skimmed through the first few pages and I just wasn't in the right headspace. But actually, I went back maybe a couple of weeks later to it, and I'm so glad I did. And it's kind of everything that you want in a nice book. There's nothing disastrous happens. There are some twists, there's some turns. And I don't want to ruin it and say everything turns out all right in the end, but maybe that's what happens. But if you enjoy a bit of fantasy, I don't want to say mermaids, a little bit of magic, and just nice, gentle-hearted life, and you're just looking for a bit of an escape from the overall world, this was such a lovely book, and I would strongly recommend it. It is surrounding a lady called, I'm going to call it Kiela, and she has a plant that is her friend called Kaz. It's always jazzy, everyone wants a plant. Kaz can talk, by the way, she's not crazy. And she is a librarian, so even more leading into that good stock of books. And she essentially has to go on a bit of an adventure. It is forced upon her, but perhaps, maybe, silver linings. The adventure puts her into a much better place. Strong recommendation. If you do read it, let me know what you think. There is a book 2, and I haven't read the book 2, and I'm a bit anxious what happens if I read number 2 and it's not as good as number 1. So if anybody has read number 2 or comes back and reads number 2, just let me know. Is it worth it? I'm leaning towards it. I've got a couple of books on my pile at the moment, but I might have to swing back and read this one, number 2, that is. But do let me know. In terms of the second book, it is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab, is how I'm going to pronounce that. Apologies if I've got that wrong. And it's kind of described as fantasy, historical fiction, magic realism, but it's a strong recommendation in terms of it's beautifully written, it takes you down a path, and at the end you are left wondering, is this real? Is this not real? It is such a good book. and it's about a lady who makes a bargain to, in theory, live forever, and how that plays out for her, not how one might initially think. In terms of the reviews on the book, someone has actually said, and I think this is quite poignant, when a book traps your soul from beginning to end and beyond, keeping hold a string to your heart even as you leave it behind, you know it deserves all the constellations in the night sky. And I think that is potentially such a good book that it is one that might leave footprints in your heart, head, whatever you want to call it. The third and final book that I'm going to recommend is a little bit of a pivot from the previous two. It's an autobiography by a gentleman called Trevor Noah. It is a memoir. In theory, the genre describes it as humour, but it does have some dark elements within it. And it's his memoir, Born a Crime. I do think the book has it's a really good tale, lessons. I learned quite a lot about the history of Africa, well, it's South Africa where he was brought up, things that I didn't know about, and he's a very good writer. I think what you can take away, or what I took away from the book, is the power of positivity and resilience. In it, he describes how his mum brought him up, and she sounds like a very strong, loving woman. But also, clearly, the gentleman, Trevor, has seen a lot of things in his upbringing, and yet he has managed to go through all that to now I think he leads on The Daily Show. He is the host of that in America. And in the book, he does cover the first-hand account of the last days of apartheid and what it was like to grow up as a mixed-race child, where he wasn't necessarily considered white enough to be white, nor black enough to be black, and how he kind of had to make his way through that. I will be honest, I didn't read this. I actually listened to the audiobook, and if you do, you get Trevor's voice, and he has a lovely voice, and so it's quite nice. Stick your headphones on. I listened to it on my commute, and so I was just able to learn a bit more about history while also, being able to enjoy. There was some interesting anecdotes in there, and there was quite a lot of learning to take away. And I always think that's quite nice when a book makes you think about the world and leaves you with things to sit with. Anyway, that is all of my book recommendations for today. Obviously, there may be more in the future. If you have any recommendations that you want to sling my way, just drop them down in the comments below. If you have read these books, what did you think? Would you recommend them? I think that they're good, hence why I'm saying strong recommendations. I did recommend my mum the Spellshop book, like I said, while we're on holiday, and I think maybe that's not the right headspace because she was already very relaxed and chilled out, whereas I think if you're in a bit of a stressful situation or a stressful environment, busy life, and you just want something to escape from it, that is potentially the book for you. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Speak to you soon. Bye.